You know, Mike, this doesn't seem like the way to the mines. Oh, nice shot. Whoa.
See, knowing that he can't die has kind of spoiled this for me.
Yeah, but again, you know, you don't know that right now.
Right. You're not playing this game with the wiki open.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, this game really suffers for repeat playthroughs if it questions like if you go in with the knowledge that the game is not nearly as like divergent as it appears.
I mean, we ran into this in The Walking Dead season, right? Everyone wanted every choice of so-and-so remembers that to have like a profound outcome of like,
right,
of whatever. This game, I think, has some better measure of that, because in The Walking Dead it was like, should we go to Savannah? And you get to say yes or no, but no matter what, you're going to Savannah. So people got upset that, like, no matter what, you get railroaded to the plot. Whereas here it's like, am I causing someone to maybe die? And some people do die, sometimes. So there's a lot more tension about, am I making a choice that is directly impacting the lives of these characters?
Oh, hi, Jess.
Holy cow. It's about time we got back here.
8 months
I
later.
thought she was in her underwear.
I don't think she was.
No, she was like wearing like jeans and the undershirt, but not underwear. Also, she found Mike's jacket, which is weird because Mike's wearing Mike's jacket, which wasn't Mike's jacket to begin with. Maybe there's just a bunch of green jackets on this mountain. Alright, cool, thanks for checking in.
And that was
I guess we'll catch up with you at some point.
She's priceless.
Come on, guys, hurry up. We gotta find Mike. Come on.
Hey, I'm kind of giving out here, guys. I think maybe
I like that Mike's looking for Josh and they're looking for Mike.
What?
Oh, we're playing Ashley.
Reassure.
No, Crispin, we're not leaving you. We're sticking together. Mike will just have to wait.
Oh, that's a dumb choice. Let's split up even more. What the crap? Oh, I see. She's agreeing to go slower so that he can keep. I see. I thought she meant she was just going to sit here in this tunnel with him rather than leave him alone.
Man, Chris, you look pretty beat up.
A topic of conversation. I actually think it's very interesting to contrast which players were ultimately very annoyed and like kind of betrayed at the lack of branching that was ultimately present in Until Dawn, and those who sort of are okay with it because they felt sort of the weight and gravity the first time they played it, and that's good enough for them. And you know, I kind of wonder like how much knowing that the game branched really based on your choices is important compared to how much it feels like it's branching with your choices. How much just it feels like it's being responsive and is therefore immersive and like places you within the reality of the scene.
Yeah.
And like heightens the drama. Like I could be making the wrong decisions. Is there just a fear of like a cumulative effect where you just won't in the future you won't give a shit? Because I know that like that's a problem, is that when you start to notice that these kinds of games don't branch very much, there's a diminishing returns that happens. Like I know that when I started playing the Telltale Game of Thrones, I'm like, you know, these characters are cool, but I can't feel the tension here because I know that there's nothing I could be doing to make this situation better.
Yeah.
Well, that's always been the Telltale problem, is they promise epic arcs and they can't deliver. And I feel this game has the benefit of narrowing it down to which of these kids will live or not die, and some of them will die. Even if not all of them are super killable, it can deliver on that promise. Whereas Game of Thrones is like, you're in a position of major power over an entire kingdom, and just with a few words, people that you know can literally result in the outcome of entire wars changing, and it feels like you should be able to have this grand influence, and there's no way their narrative structure could facilitate that.
Yeah.
You gotta move it, alright?
Kind of another interesting trope I notice in these games is there's two choices presented, and this is especially a Telltale thing. There's two choices presented, and they have divergent results, where something changes in the storyline, but it's not better or worse. It's just different. And I noticed that I feel like there's a fear of having a qualitative choice. Of having a choice where you could be making the right decision or the wrong decision. And I think that's partially that, you can only present a very limited amount of context to the player. You can only set up a choice so well, and you're inevitably going to get people who just feel like angry and feel like they're being taken out of the experience because what they thought was a reasonable choice resulted in terrible consequences. And that happens in real life too, but I bet that there's a fear that people aren't receptive to that in video games, especially. Because, in reality, okay, well, it just is what it is. But in a video game, you're like, no, they're wrong about how this should have happened.
I think there's also an element of, the idealism of, video games offer an interactive experience, and the ideal interactive experience is I could change this narrative in any way that I wanted. Every choice matters.
Or you should be able to take the choices that your character would be able to take in that moment. Yeah. Not that you can do anything, but you should at least have access to everything they could do.
Anybody? Jessica! Is it you?
I think one of the only few ways you can really, you could definitely get away with it is...
Rejoin group.
Okay, so an example of a bad choice is... your friend wants to go running into combat, and you can tell them to go into combat or to stay home. And you have to base this decision on what you think just is just generally a good tactical idea, what you generally think about being brash and bold. And this is a very Telltale sort of choice, to frame it as kind of a matter of principles rather than a matter of pragmatism and really considering the nitty-gritty reasons.
I'm so glad to see you.
So that doesn't work. The way to do it is you predicate it upon some piece of information that is available within the game world and is reasonably unambiguous.
Right.
So, for example...
So, Seamus,
No, I think
if you don't mind me cutting in here, in your aside in the middle of this conversation, you just saved us from one of the gotcha deaths.
Good luck!
What aside?
The rejoin group bit.
Well, I remember they could imitate, voices.
Okay, so you're paying attention to what I told you to pay attention
so
to.
I just figured, that's a Wendigo trying to lure you away from the group.
Right. We actually could have gone and investigated the voice and found a totem there. As long as we just didn't open a trap door, we would have been fine, but...
Actually, okay, that was a good interjection because that beautifully illustrates my point. That's an example of a qualitative choice, a choice where one choice is clearly better because it means that you can save the lives of your characters, and instead of being based on some kind of your own just sort of understanding of tactics or logistics, it's based on a piece of data that was available in the game, and the challenge is being able to recover and consider that context while making this decision. But players should be able to say, oh, okay, I failed to consider this thing that I knew about, and therefore, I suffered the consequence. And I think that sort of saves it from being too frustrating.
Come on, girl, you can
Or at least from feeling too unfair. But I think Telltale doesn't really like that kind of thing very much. I think that they prefer to structure things as matters of differing principles or tastes.
Yeah.
beat you.
And that's one of the reasons why I think that their games could feel a little bit toothless lately. Although I haven't played the new Walking Dead, I heard it's okay.
They made Clementine not the protagonist again, and I was like, nope, I'm done. Checked out.
Oh, well, I don't really care about that then. I thought she was, like, at least half of the protagonist?
No, she's in the game, but she's not the player character anymore.
Oh, no, I thought, like, she was the player character half the time. Is she really not?
I don't know. I was under the impression she wasn't at all. A bunch of stuff over here. What are we looking at?
I will say that the most successful... I haven't played some of the recent Telltale stuff. I haven't played Batman or the new Walking Dead, but my favorite of the most recent Telltale stuff is definitely the Tales from the Borderlands, which also, not coincidentally, refocuses on character stuff rather than plot, which I think works really well.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Clementine is the secondary protagonist of Season 3, apparently.
So, like Season 1 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's playable.
Oh, okay.
She's playable, but so is another kid named Javier. Oh, Javier's not a kid. He's an adult.
Oh, his name's not Javier, it's Bob. Oh, wait, he's in Game of Thrones. Never mind.
What?
Okay, so video game rocks. Triggered by plot points. Stuff like that really takes me out of it.
I think I was
like,
supposed to go on the stairs.
what made those rocks fall? Her flashlight shining on them?
Magic. Which may actually be the answer to this.
Wendigos are down here tunneling. They're looking for mithril.
Yeah, they delve too deep. It's just a Balrog shows up in the middle of the game with no explanation.
Like, what if we dig too deep?
Fuckers.
And they're going to be like, well, we're already Wendigos, so...
In the background, there's a
that
giant
one.
drill with Wendigos driving it, and on the side is written the word Wendigozer.
So I know that Seamus and I at least have one... at least I detect a strong disagreement about how the threats are presented in this game, and sort of how the... Like, because this game really sort of keeps its cards close to its chest as far as, like, what you're actually up against, what you're actually facing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's
And
the big... that's my big gripe with the game, is that frustrated me for the first 3 quarters.
And that actually really worked for me. So that's I find that interesting.
Huh.
Let's go back and...
I mean, part of that
Yeah,
is
I
it's
found
just a horror
myself-
movie trope.
Like, I couldn't really believe in... I couldn't feel any of it. Like, I'm sort of in it with the characters now that I know, okay, Wendigos. That's what we're dealing with here. Okay, now I know what genre we're dealing with, and now I can begin to enter this world. And I just felt like I didn't have a way in until it explained what kind of story I was supposed to be in.
I think it's actually a subtler, because I understand that drive, and I think that the difference in how we approach the stories is only very subtly different. I think I just sort of accept this to be the broadest possible kind of story. Like, I make the default assumption that this is like, okay, ghosts and monsters, like, kind of anything horror is possible, but, you know, the rules aren't entirely clear. And then when it implies that there's some serial killer stuff, like, I don't sort of change my assumption that all of this stuff is still possible.
Wait.
Yeah, I started with the assumption that this was all mundane.
Oh no,
that
Beatles.
Because those are active when it's snowy out. I sort of assumed everything was being done through, by pedestrian humans. Like this was a serial killer kind of thing until it explicitly tells me, no, there's also supernatural stuff. And I guess, yeah, I wasn't willing to, like, say, okay, I'll entertain whatever supernatural elements until the game narrows it down. I started off narrow and wouldn't open up until the game, you know, added things to it.
It's a little interesting because it is, now that you mention it, it's much more common that media portrays a threat as being supernatural only to reveal that it is mundane.
Yeah.
It's very rare that a game implies a threat as mundane only to reveal that it is supernatural.
That's true.
You know, usually people, like, you know, there may be stories where the characters assume the threat is mundane and then discover it is supernatural. But generally speaking, you know what you're getting into. If it's a movie or a show, you know, the marketing and kind of the presentation is clear that, you know, the scariest possible thing is true.
So what is she looking for? I kind of lost her individual plot here. I thought they were all together looking for Mike.
She's trying to get to Mike, and she like didn't want to wait up for everybody. Who's fucking tired, Chris, and now she went on ahead.
So she's being an idiot teenager. Oh, I'll just go in here with my.
On the other hand, she did just save Mike,
mostly due to luck. This was still a monumentally stupid move, even though it worked out.
That's reasonable.
I'm too old for this shit.
Any marshmallows?
Oh, that was one of the Wendigos dying, and the Wendigo's the spirit coming out of the Wendigo. And suddenly Mike is like, "I'm hungry. Are you hungry?" I'm just really hungry.
Did ask if anyone had any marshmallows.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like he's suddenly like, "Man, I'm hungry for a."
You alright?
Fine, all right.
Alive?
Liver? I feel like
Like
liver.
a steak. Yeah.
Let's find a way down
Liver and
where this
onions?
fucker lives.
Nice bottle of Chianti.
I don't think I can physically make that noise.
Mike, there's no key for the cable car.
There you go.
Who did that?
He's
Which
gone.
was
one of you
me.
guys did that?
He's gone.
Jesus. But she didn't even like wine.
Down to the mine.
That was actually quite good, I'd say.
Well, he doesn't like wine, but he likes eating people.
I'm gonna get that key.
He's like this weird low rent kind of cannibal that like makes people into burgers.
Come on, let's go. Run!
I had his liver with some potato chips and a can of cactus
Find
cooler.
a way down to where this fucker lives.
That
Actually,
was a
I
low-rent
got a
cannibal.
message on Patreon recently saying, "Hey, you know, Rootscar, and I remember you talking up Cactus Cooler a lot, and I finally got somebody to take me some from Arizona, and it fucking sucks. What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, listen, I'm waxing poetic about a regional brand of fruit soda. You probably shouldn't have expected that it was anything more than just a regional brand of fruit soda. I have bad taste.
Sessions are of any help to you now.
I wonder how much of these imaginary sessions you have in your head are of any help to you now.
Not sure he's in the right mindset
Fucked up.
to consider the fact that none of these sessions are real.
So
God,
Oh,
Storm
you
Man.
put a... Come on, Dr. Hill.
Oh, no,
put
he's
Put
leaving.
$1 in the swear jar, buddy.
that can be dreamt up by the unhinged imagination of a self-indulgent, spoiled little brat. You had so many people.
Is there a movie that has Peter Stormare and Udo Kier together? Because I want to see that movie.
Every turn you choose
Who's Udo
to push
Kier?
them away, and now you're
Never mind. I'm weird.
low by the sounds.
He was in Blade. He was the good head evil vampire that gets killed by
I
Frost.
haven't seen this movie.
Deep breaths, Josh.
Wow, that's an obscure reference.
Breath.
I've seen Blade 2, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dear.
I didn't know. Well, you've got that Patreon. Hopefully that'll help you out.
Why are they singing a French nursery rhyme?
Oh, because they're Canadian, Josh.
Okay, what about
Wrong side of Canada.
Andy Warhol's Dracula?
No, you're dead.
I've not seen Andy Warhol's Dracula.
Melancholia?
No.
I think
Josh
maybe
is going insane by your mentions of horror films.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that Josh is probably not properly equipped to deal with this threat.
No.
Tell me what to do.
I finally met my match. Video game psychologists.
I trust you.
I felt really bad for Josh, to be honest. He's the character I feel the most sorry for.
I kind of feel sorry for Chris because, you know, he's Chris. And that's got to be the toughest of...
Oh, guys, remember how I, like, mentioned that, like, Jin compared me to Chris?
You're all alone
And
now.
said that, like, I reminded her of Chris?
Oh, so I just accidentally burned you there. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, well, I mean, I had the exact same reaction. But also, recently I found out that the other video game character I remind her of is the Scout.
Why didn't you save us, Josh?
Okay, that one I can totally see. You've always reminded me of the Scout.
I swear.
That's pretty rough, though. And this is actually one of the things that, like, you know, I'm not saying that it's an invalid choice in the game, but, you know, the game spends so much of its, like, final moments, like, really getting to the bottom of Josh's, like, horror, and, like, getting into, like, his pain and his heartache and his agony and his inner conflict, and, you know, I guess we could sort of spoil things. He doesn't quite get a resolution to that. I mean, he gets an ending, but it's not a resolution, and I really felt raw about that. You know, I to some extent I understand why they did it, but it really.
Oh hey,
I
Final
just
Fantasy
wanted-
15 is finished updating, by the way.
I just wanted
Thanks,
something nice for this
PS4.
guy, you know? He doesn't deserve this shit. It's awful.
Why did you want us to die?
I'd say, you know, after losing a family member myself, I feel more sympathetic towards him. It's just, it's a hard road, and you really get the sense his friends weren't there for him. And maybe he didn't want them there. I mean, he did kind of plot to, like, humiliate and disturb them,
So,
but
I noticed something
still.
weird about it.
What?
A Wendigo. It had a scar.
So,
I've seen it before.
what are you talking about?
I saw these old pictures of some guys with that scar, and he was transforming into a Wendigo.
You're kidding.
He's one of the miners who've been trapped back in the 50s in the cave-in, which means that thing is 80 years old. At least.
Spunky for an old-timer.
They cleaned the place out. Killed a lot of people.
They? You mean there are more of them?
Oh yeah,
How many?
too many.
So, I mean,
I think we're close.
I don't know what I really expected or what I wanted.
I feel real
Or, you know, I don't know if I'm saying that it was it's a failure of the storyteller, that there's not like a more that firstly there isn't an option for Josh. Things didn't well for Josh.
It stands
Secondly,
out as a
Yeah, that-
weird sort of like tangent that the game doesn't address.
Yeah. It just bums me out, I guess. But I mean, you know, it's a horror game.
Like with how core it is to the story and the presentation, it's a little weird that you don't get any kind of resolution there.
You know what would have helped if there had
Kinda
just
get
been
one.
one real scene in this game, like one real scene of somebody just reaching out to Josh with absolute tenderness.
I mean,
With
Chris
absolute
kind of did
kindness.
that.
Kind of.
Tenderness.
Very kind of. Very kind of.
Go in there.
There's no other
In
way.
as much as idiot teenagers can reach out to one another. Is there a... Huh. Thought I saw something over here. What the hell?
There's something so cruel about how we spend the whole game sort of understanding the enormity of Josh's self-torment, and we have no opportunity to address it. You know, that's the one thing. I feel like we're sort of left in torment with him. And I don't really know what to take away from that experience, I guess.
Is that what I think it is?
Shit. Looks like a grave.
I feel like maybe they tried to lean on him more as a villain, and he ended up being overly empathetic. Because remember, he does sort of trick everyone into thinking that you guys have, that either he has died or you've killed one of your friends, and that's
like
kind of a
sick,
dick
and
move.
he needs help.
Watch.
Yeah, I don't think they were trying to... Like, I don't think the original intention was for him to be just an unrepentant villain or an unredeemable villain.
No. But insofar as sort of leaving him where they do, I think a lot of that might have to do with the whole pseudo redemption for what he did to them. But that's weird because he didn't really do anything but fake them out. But it was still totally uncool. I'm just trying to think of reasons why they would leave that structure in there.
Oh dear God, Seamus.
Oh God, Seamus, your mic is blowing
your microphone
up.
is really loud.
But I mean, you know, it's like, I don't think they were trying to really portray him as a villain, because it would have been very easy to do that. It would have been very easy to portray Josh as just like, oh, he's crazy, and he's out to get you guys, and he's an asshole, and you know, he's the antagonist. But they dedicated a lot of time to portraying a sympathetic view, like where you literally get to see like what's going on with him. And like inside his head, you literally see inside like his mental process, illustrated in a way that none of the other characters get. And I feel like they really did see him sympathetically as storytellers, and I don't know.
Great. Thank you.
What kind of shark would live here? My little sister is dead. The fall killed her. I watched the color drain from her face. My leg is broken. I almost read that as any leg is broken. I'm all alone. Stuck here with Beth. Beth's head.
Someone
I've never been
Day
so
one.
hungry.
I like that she labeled it day one. She knew she was in for the long haul.
It feels like my stomach is twisting around inside. I took Beth's sweater, much warmer now. She's still looking out for me. I'm sorry, Beth. I have no choice. I'm dying. It's the only way I can survive anymore. Someone finds this. I'm sorry. I had to do it. I had no choice. Forgive me, Beth. I'm sorry. Oh, they're reading it. Jesus.
What does it
My hands
mean?
feel unclean.
How is she not... I mean, I think the audience had this figured out a few days ago.
Yeah, back when Emily was
episodes
down there and found the head. Thanks for writing that there, Beth. Or Hannah.
Yeah. It's always
wherever the hell you are.
Unimpressive when you get to that point. You're like, okay, somebody on the art team had fun with some Crayolas. So this is honestly a little bit indulgent.
It makes sense. Of course, it makes total sense.